Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Lyfe Choyces podcast.
Yeah!
Welcome back, everybody, to the Lyfe Choyces podcast here, where we discuss mindset, success, the good and the tough aspects of going after your passions. On today's episode, I'm welcoming a longtime friend and old colleague of mine, Cyle Steyn. Steyn. See, I knew I was going to fuck that up. Right. Cyle Steyn, but Kyle with a C.
That's right.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of how people remember me. They're like, it's Kyle with a C, right? I'm like, yeah. So every time somebody refers to, because people know many Kyles.
Absolutely.
And but yeah, I got that Kyle with a C, which is funny because I think I've actually met another Kyle with a C, and it's one of my good buddies' cousins. But besides that, I've never seen it.
Just two of you out there.
Just the two of us. I think it was a mistake, but you know, nevertheless.
Two of you with the same name, but there's only one Kyle.
That's right.
There's only one like you that I fucking know.
Oh yeah.
The stories we have from our days of working together on a yacht are memorable. I still talk about them to this day.
Right.
Now, I know you very well, but our audience, this is the first time that they're seeing you, for most of them.
Sure.
Could you give us a little backstory about who Kyle is or was, where you were once, where you are now?
Yeah. I born and raised South Africa, and like most South Africans, we like to travel, and a lot of us find the yachting industry. Mm-hmm. So right after school, kind of knew that I wanted to venture. Right? A lot of my friends were like, I'm going to go study this, I'm going to go study that. I was like, yeah. I couldn't really find something that I want to go study. And, never mind that, I didn't have the money to go and pay for schooling. So, we decided to go the yachting route. And I tell you what, man, that was a good choice.
Yeah.
That was a great choice. So right after school, I was 19, was able to grab some money, borrow some money from family, and book myself a ticket. Went to Europe, started, my boating career over there, and it's been. I think I was in the industry for 10 years. The good part of that is that I met you,
1,000%.
I know, in the kind of in the beginning of my super yacht career, because before I met you, I was in sailboats. Right, I kind of worked on sailboats, which I loved, and then I did the switch to motorboats based on the money, which kind of sold my soul. I felt like
100%.
I feel like for a chef it's a lot different, but as a coming up deckhand, it's it was a different experience. But yeah, so that's when I met you, and I was lucky enough to share a cabin with you for,
I know, right?
I think it was over a year. So, you and me spent a good part of my yachting career in 8x8, cabin.
Bunk bed.
I remember as soon as I got there, you were like, you getting the top cabin, buddy. I was like, oh man, straight to the doghouse.
But it's the bigger bed.
It is. It was the bigger bed. It's just, getting up on that bed at 3 o'clock in the morning is tough,
when you're hammered.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, so, worked in boating, loved it, grew into it, and was always looking for a way out. I never kind of knew what I was going to do. I mean, there's basically two choices as a guy in yachting, and I guess women too, but for us it was you want to become a captain, right? So it was the goal for a good period of time, and there was a lot missing. There was a lot I didn't enjoy in yachting, and that's kind of why I moved out of yachting. So I moved out of yachting, I guess, 3-4 years ago?
Gotta be more than that, no?
Maybe 5 years ago. I kind of lost, since having a kid.
Well, I was going to say, were you still in yachting after you got married?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Because I remember that because that was just before I took my trip around the world. That was December of 2015.
That's right.
So that's 8 years ago.
That's 8 years ago.
So you still did yachting for
I still
a few
did
more
yachting
years.
after that. So the nice thing about, staying in yachting after I got married, I landed a sweet gig. I was basically manage a fleet of boats in Fort Lauderdale. So these guys owned, I think it was called Certified Yachts. And basically what they would do is they would go buy boats in Europe, ship them back here, and we'd completely refit them. So even though I was still in yachting, I wasn't staying on the boat. I kind of went to work every day, you know. And,
one foot on land, freedom of having a normal type
which
life.
is hard to come by,
Absolutely.
especially in yachting. So, you know, that went well. And I think I stayed on for like 2 years. But it was just the same thing, man. I mean, I learned a lot from it. You know, a lot of the boating and yachting contributed it to me leaving and building something outside of yachting.
Okay.
So,
and that is the project that you now work on.
Yeah. So, you know, it's kind of weird. When you get out of yachting, you're kind of not sure what to do, right? Because all you really know is boating. So at first, I attempted a few ventures that miserably failed.
Which happens,
right?
You know?
No, it does.
A great success story starts with failures.
It does, man. And you know, I'm thankful that I tried it because you just learn so much out of failure, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you fail, you go back to the drawing board, and you look at your mistakes, and you kind of sit back and think about, you know, was that really what you wanted to do? And you know, so I'm happy that I failed. Right, I think it contributed a lot to my current success, but it was hard, man. It was hard adjusting from that boating life to normal life. It was. It's funny because when you're on boats, you kind of want to get off boats, but when you're off the boat, you kind of want to get back onto the boats.
The lifestyle of having everything there for you.
Right.
I think that's the major thing for crew once they leave the yachting industry is now you have to do things like buy your own soap, shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste. You don't have a chef cooking for you every day.
No,
right?
I mean,
you literally, basically, you do your job, right? And everything else is taken care of.
Exactly, right.
Like, I cook. My laundry's done by the girls.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a give and take, but yeah, that's a drastic thing for a human being to now go deal with in the real world. Yeah. Having now to supply everything for yourself.
Yeah, it's almost like a cultural shock, you know, because, you know, you're staying on boats for 7 years, you just get so accustomed to it. And, you know, I remember like moving in with Taryn at first. I would get home and the fridge is just, you know, I look at the fridge, I'm like, this is disgusting, man. You know, why is everything not in line? You know, everything needs to be straight. It's like, there is not a dirty dish on the boat, right? So when I get home at first, well, you know, after I left boating and the feeling to leave a dish unwashed was a big deal, you know? But the adjustments were nice. Obviously, you know, you have the benefit of freedom, right? You don't have to jump onto somebody's, you know, snap of the fingers. And in a sense, I kind of like that because I like the unknown, you know. I used to love not knowing where I was going next, you know. People are like, oh, you know, we're planning a trip next year, October, you know, do you want to join? I'm like, man, I don't even know where I'm going to be. I might be in Greece. I might be, you know, I love that aspect of it, but moving into, you know, a land-based position, it was hard to find my feet, right? It's like I wasn't really sure which way I was going to go. So basically what I did was I attempted a few ventures, right? And miserably failed, but, you know, I like winning. I'm a bad loser, man. I don't like losing. So spent some money, right? Didn't go my way. And I found myself back at the boats, right? So I found another job, which was hard because now, you know, I was married, you know, I had to work on boats and it's just, it doesn't work, man.
It's difficult.
It's difficult. Yeah. You know, I see a lot of people and they do make a success out of it and good for them, right? Because it is hard. But it wasn't going to work for me, you know, especially my personality. It's just, it just wasn't going to work. So, went back on the boat, saved some money, and, you know, I kind of started installing solar panels on like sailboats and, you know, little boats and, you know, kind of found a hobby in that, you know, it was something that piqued my interest. So, I thought to myself one day, like, hey, listen, you know, this is something that's really, that I enjoy. This is something that I can see work all around the world. And I started doing research to see what does the residential market look like in, you know, renewable energy. And I found a company in, I think it was Fort Lauderdale. It was called the US Solar Institute. So I was like, all right, cool. let me call these people up. Let me go see what they have to offer. So anyway, they had like, a month class where you go and they just basically teach you all the fundamentals about how to install these systems, how they work, how they're sizing, what's the code around them. And I kind of just immersed myself into that. Did the class, the guy who ran the institute, me and him got along very well. So he offered me a position to stay on with him after we completed the, 4-week course. And, since then I haven't looked back, right? I had the idea in my mind that I was going to own a solar company after I did the course, and worked, minimum wage for about 2 years on a roof. It was terrible. Right?
So you did a job that you didn't like.
Right.
At a wage that wasn't that great.
No.
For 2 years.
Right.
In order to get you to where you need to go.
That's right.
I'm just grinning and giving lessons at the same time.
Right.
While other people shake their head, but yet know what I'm talking about.
Right. It was hard, man, because
it's difficult as fuck.
No, people ask me, they're like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a solar panel installer. They're like, are you on the roof every day in Florida in the summer? I'm like,
summer.
On a metal roof for that matter, right? So, but I had to do it, right? Because I felt like I need to learn every single fundamental about solar, the physical aspect of it, everything. So I dived into it, and it was tough. I wasn't really making a lot of money. Fortunately, I have a fantastic wife, and she contributed a lot to my goals and what I was trying to achieve. So
she supported you.
Oh yes, absolutely. Still does.
Shout out Taryn.
Yeah.
And we're going to put you on the spot because Cyle and I decided that you will be coming on here as a guest. So prepare yourself, and we'll see you on the Lyfe Choyces podcast in the future.
That's right, Bookie.
There you go.
Yeah. So big shout out to her. And and that's what I did. So once I started learning how to install these systems, I wanted to learn how to sell it. So after 2 years of, blood, sweat, and tears on top of a roof in Florida, I decided, let me go try and take a sales position, which I was happy to do, right? A lot of people have always told me, listen, Cyle, you need to go do sales. You love talking to people. This is going to be good for you.
You have the gift of gab.
Right.
But more importantly, I will say this. People are drawn to you.
Yeah.
That's a fact that I know about you since day one.
Yeah.
Anybody I've ever met wants to be around your energy. You're just a phenomenally high energy, super positive individual. And we're going to get into that later on.
Right.
So sales does not seem like a far stretch of a job that you would be successful at.
I know. And the funny thing is that's, and everybody said that. And I thought it as well. And then I went into sales and I sucked at it. I sucked. And, I thought I was going to walk in there, be the best top salesman. Yeah. And it was the opposite. So, again, I didn't like sitting on, weekly meetings and looking at my name. And I'm like, I'm like bottom 10 salespeople out of 50, this was not good. So, I started reading a lot of sales books, man. Zig Ziglar, there was a bunch of really good ones. So I really wanted to become good at it because it sucks telling people that I'm not good at sales. So I did, man. I started, reading a lot of books, practicing sales a lot with friends and family, and it was funny. And I started seeing growth in that. Mm-hmm. And the goal was always maintained the same, right? Learn how to install it, learn how to sell it, learn the business aspect of it, and then start the company, right? So at this stage, I was still moving towards my goal. It's like a 4-year process, but I was in sales.
And a pause right there.
Right.
You were looking for prolonged gratification.
Correct.
Which is very important.
Yes.
You weren't thinking that this was all going to happen and open up a business right after you got your schooling and become the best solar panel business owner ever.
Correct.
Back at it.
And that's the reason why, I failed on my previous businesses, because that's what I was expecting. And reality was different. So, did a lot of digging, learning how to sell solar, and it was fun, but it was definitely, I got what I needed out of it to know exactly what I need to look for in a sales rep when I eventually get somebody.
Oh my God.
Right.
So I'm doing like a whole lot of research right now to get really good at what I'm doing right now, to just become really comfortable and phenomenal at being, you know, a podcaster. And I just came across this this one video that I watched of Gary Vee. I don't know if you know who Gary Vee is. Gary Vaynerchuk is a mogul in the business / social media world.
Right.
And he literally was saying at this conference exactly, almost word for word, what you just said.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is you need to learn how to do everything that there is to be done in your business,
Right.
but eventually you don't have to do all of those things.
Correct.
But you'll know how to hire the
Yes.
right person for each one of those categories.
That's right.
So I love you have that business mindset because you wanted to go after your goal, which you knew you were going to achieve 4 years or so out.
Correct.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's frustrating, right? Because I never really used to be a person that had 4-year goals, right? Because I was young, you know. It's hard. You get in boating, you know. You don't look 4 years, you know. You're looking at now. So
you're more looking at like, what am I going to do tonight at the bar?
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm in a new country. I got money. Let's go. Yeah.
And oh boy, did we do it! Yeah, so it was a great experience, and you know, eventually I got my experience in the industry where I could sit down and do my exam, right? Because in order to install these systems, you need to be a you know, licensed solar contractor. So you know, got behind the books, ordered my books. I mean, there was boxes, Brad. I mean, books this thick, and you know, I was never really good at studying, man. So it was that was another challenge that we had to go through, and you know, that was the time Taryn, you know, was pregnant too, and I went to my first exam and I failed, man. And I was like, oh, I can't let this, you know, I can't do this. I got to go back. So 2 months later, you know, I was able to reschedule my exam, and I had to study even harder because my baby girl, Isla, was born. So I was running on like 3 hours of sleep every day. And so every moment I got, I just, you know, I had to sit behind the books and just study. Which actually was a lot easier than I thought it would be at the time, right? Because I was thinking, oh man, how am I going to study with this baby in the house? You know, she's crying, she needs this, she needs that. It was so busy. But the motivation that she gave me to actually just get through it was unparalleled.
You're working for someone else besides yourself now.
Yeah, and it's just, it lifted me up. So I was able to do that, and, you know, get through that challenge, and you know, and then it was opening the business and actually starting a business and trying to get customers, you know. And
so you have a business now at this point, and the name of the company is
Kalahari Solar.
Wonderful. And that is in the state of Florida?
Correct. We're in Jupiter, Florida.
Okay. Now, does your licensing and certifications, I don't know anything about this industry. Does this mean you can only do that within the state of Florida?
Yes.
So, okay. So it's different certification depending on state, country, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And it's because different states have different codes, right?
Okay.
You know, and some states don't require you to have or to be a licensed solar contractor. So yeah, but the entire state of Florida is covered.
Nice. So we're going to have that information down below in the description. We'll talk about that more later on, but you'll be able to contact Cyle for solar panel.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So a few things here that I want to touch on is you've always been an individual of positivity.
Yeah.
Since the day I met you, I don't even think I can count on one hand the amount of times I haven't seen a smile on your face. And because I worked with Ronaldo before you joined the boat, he was on it in your position. Then you know, he left and you came on, and another individual at the same high energy of positivity. Now I know this is one of your go-to day ones,
right?
And then Nathan,
right?
Sorry, this is bringing back so many memories for me right now. This is like back in the day. The three of you, some of the most wonderful human beings I've ever met in my life. Awesome. And we can sit here and have this conversation now as if no time has passed. And that's why I love you guys so much, because everyone has gotten married, not me, but all you guys have gotten married and have children, and life goes on. But even Ronaldo, after Anessa was on the show and she went home and talked to him about how I was mentioning like tech equipment, when he reaches out to me right away and he's like, dude, I got you.
Right. Whatever
you need, just send me a list. I got you. And it warms my heart up. But we're going to get into this and we'll get back to the solar power company, but were you always that positive of human? Because I've only known you guys as this positivity and this high energy.
Right.
Were you always like that even as a child, or was there something that happened?
No, I've always been a pretty positive kid, you know, and you know, I thank my household for that. But yeah, I don't like to be associated with negative things, man. And negative things happen, and you know, you sometimes you got to face it. But I always look to see, you know, what positive outcome is it going to bring, right? So, and it was, I can't remember when it was. I was maybe 16 or 17. I mean, I was always a positive kid, but before that, but I saw this skit when I think I was 16. And it was this guy explaining a story on a bad situation, you know, and it was like, you know, this boy that comes in and, or the dad has the boy and then the boy breaks his leg, and, you know, the community comes in and they're like, oh man, that's so bad. And he's like, you know, maybe it's bad, maybe it's good. And they're like, what? You know, it's bad. He broke his leg. And then, you know, a week later, the army shows up and they started, you know, taking kids to go and fight this war, and his kid doesn't need to go because he's got a broken leg. And he's like, you know, I see, it's not that bad. It was actually a good thing that it happened. And it just keeps carrying on, like how these bad situations can actually turn into good situations. So yeah, positivity is my number one thing, man. And you know, sometimes I get down, but I have learned through the years that when I feel down, I reach out for things that makes me feel positive again, right? So when I have a bad day, like I'll go on YouTube and be like, you know, some inspirational, you know, videos, and I'll just listen to it, and it just gets me so pumped up again that positive just, you know, it just keeps knocking on the door and knocking on the door. And I tell you what, the more positive things you think about and, you know, look after, the more positive things happen around you. And I'm such a strong believer in that. So
Couldn't agree with you more on that fact.
Yeah. It's you know, and now because I've just done it so many times, it's like it's grafted in my bones that I need to be positive, you know, and you know, negative things will happen, but there's positive things that follow. So you know, I always try and be positive around people too.
Life is a roller coaster. Everyone has their ups and downs. Everyone goes through stuff for sure. And knowing that, you know, if the negative comes, the positive will come eventually, and vice versa. It's a continuous circle and whatnot. As a younger man, before getting married and having children, a lot of life, and I can contest this myself, when I was in my early 20s, the audience knows I've admitted this. I was not the best of human beings. I cared more about myself than I did about, you know, pretty much anybody that came in my life. I was me. And it didn't really get me far in life as a whole.
Right.
And, you know, it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I really made a switch to positivity, positive thinking, and being kind to others and thinking of them more than me. Now, just in the little story that you've shared with us about going through failures and marriage and child and the motivations that came from within to get you to your success of where you are now owning a business, sacrifices came into play.
Oh yeah.
And you were aware of this right away. And how did you shift? How did you shift from that? Because before being in a serious relationship, before having a partner, you know, marriage, and then a child, we all live a certain life.
Oh yeah.
And now life is different for you.
Yeah.
So how did you adjust to these sort of things?
Yeah, it's a big adjustment, right? But I feel like it happens slowly over time, you know, when, you know, I mean, we were reckless together, Brad. There's no other word for it. You know, I mean, you kind of start growing up, you know, you can only go to the pub so many times in 2 years, right? You know, before your body.
We pushed it as much as we could.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was just, eventually your body starts saying, listen, I can't do it every night, but we can do it every second night. So I felt like it was a slow progression, but more so in, you know, I've always been a big family person. So when I met Taryn, obviously she saw and she knew exactly, how crazy and wild I was, right? People even warned her. They're like, stay away from this guy.
Yeah.
And, but she was persistent, man. And so was I. And, I always had this idea that, one day I'll get married when I'm 32 and I'm going to have kids when I'm 36, and boom, I got married at 25.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I met Taryn and I knew that, there was something really special about her. And, it didn't happen overnight. Like, Mondays would come around and I'm at the bar, and at first she was willing and, able to come with me every Monday. And she was like, listen, man, I can't do this every night. But I kept going. But we maintained a great relationship through that. So it was a slow process, right? As you get older, I started getting more responsibilities, and I wanted to be home more, like those things change. Like, once you get into a relationship, a serious relationship, you don't really want to go out every night, Again, it took probably a solid 2 years before I really calmed down.
Yeah.
Right. I think there was a few times where, Taryn tried to lock me outside, she did.
Well, we're going to get into that stuff too later.
Right. But it was a good shift. But I adapted it to it pretty well, I think. And she saw it too. And she always, kept telling me, she's like, yeah, you're good. She's like, but, one day you're going to have to calm down. I was like, yeah, no. And I will. And it's just because you're out of that boating environment, kind of that's when it really calmed down, is when I got out of boating, right?
Yeah.
Before boating, you can't come down, it's pandemonium. You look to your left, there's something going on here. You look to your right, there's something going on there. So you're always busy. So I felt like it was a slow transition, but a really good one. And, I'm in a good spot now. I stopped drinking since over a year and a half ago.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. It was so even before that, I was still me.
Yeah.
Problem was I wasn't drinking a lot.
Yeah.
But my biggest issue was when I go out, right? And that, there's an invisible line that I clearly don't see, and it's just, when I pass that line, it's just
game over.
Yeah, like nothing. I don't care about anything. And it's, it's just
something switches.
Something switches, and I typically don't remember it.
Yeah.
So there was one night in particular, and like I said, it wasn't too long ago, and went out, didn't, had a bad night out, and woke up the next morning, and I was like, Taryn was standing there, and my little baby girl was standing there, and I was like, I can't do this. So literally went around the house, took every, bottle of Jack Daniels, took every bottle of whiskey, brandy, I threw it in the trash, and that's history.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can, our audience knows very well, I've been forthcoming about my drinking back in the day, and what I've done to not be distracted by all these things that we're talking about from the boating life is I basically, so when I come back into port, I separate myself from the industry. I separate myself from the boat, and I stay away from, crew functions and things of this nature. And I shift to what's more important to me, which is doing the podcast and being there for my guests, my friends, and my audience.
Yes.
That's my only goal in life right now. And of course, my mom. She's my first and everything responsibility. So I get that, and having that switch, like when I drank as much as I did. And you'll remember this, like I'll have like 12 pint glasses of Jack Daniels in a night and be responsible. I never lost my mind, never got in fights.
No,
like we were relatively tame-ish, but there was always that point in the night where you have that one more drink, you don't stop. I was on autopilot. I would get back to the boat, I would get, and our boat had alarms and stuff that we had to disengage and all this sort of shit. It was like a goddamn gauntlet to get back into the fucking cabin without waking anyone up, without getting a penalty watch, all this nonsense. And I would do it completely blacked out every night. Yeah. There was no problem with it. And it takes a toll on your mind, your body, and your life as an individual, because people around you that aren't as deep into the bottle start worrying about you and start asking questions and stuff like that. And you're never willing to deal with it until that moment. Everyone has that moment. Hopefully everyone has that moment that they're like, okay, wait a second. let's reel this in a bit. Let's figure it out. So wife and daughter right there. And you're just like,
oh yeah. No, it's and people kind of warn you when you have a kid. They're like, oh, your life's going to change 360. And it's like, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not me. Why would it?
No, and but it does, and it's for the good, man. Right now, that's the most important part for me is being with my family. Like I love it. I mean, I still go out with friends, even though I don't drink. I still go out. I still see all the same people, and it was hard, right? Because when you tell people, especially me, if I tell somebody, I don't drink anymore, they think it's a big ass joke. Right. So that was actually hard to adapt to. But right now that's same as you, I love spending time with my family. I try and do healthy things, which is really hard. But it's just, I feel better, right? My mind's better. I feel like I can focus more on things that really, matters to me, like the business, like my family. And it's fun, man. It's fun. I love this because it's really a whole different lifestyle that I'm used to living, and I just love it. I just want more of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So you changed for the better.
Right.
You took stock in who you were and where you were going.
Right.
You wanted to go on a different road. You took a road that was harder than easier, because you're giving up a lot of things that you're used to having in your life that made your life seem very easy and very fun.
Right.
And now, I mean, the two biggest things is, when I say three, I guess, you have a family, but inside that family, you have a child,
right?
That is now dependent without you even like without her even knowing,
right?
You have automatic dependent.
Oh yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, we're expecting another one in October.
Congrats. Probably another daughter.
Right. Oh,
probably.
You know it.
I know it.
You know it. Right? But that's fine. I'm lock and loaded, man. Yeah. So super excited for that. Kind of stressed out, because it's hard to balance, and I'm sure right? It's hard.
I don't. When it comes to family and kids, I don't.
Family.
I understand the theory.
Right. But what I was going to say was it's hard to balance starting a business with, just being in another place, right? Because starting a business just consumes so much of your time.
Yes.
It's really hard. So for the first 2 years, I was a mess, man, trying to balance my family and the business. I was always angry, Taryn even used to always tell me, she's like, why are you always so angry? That's very unlike you. But it was that initial startup going through growing pains, so with the second baby, now we have another one in the house, and it takes so much of your time and effort. Again, it's worth it over and over again. But it's kind of stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're at a different spot now.
Right.
Having the second child, you've done it once already.
Right.
You have a business now that's running and bringing in, cash flow, which is nice.
Right.
And you have this wonderful lady in your life to support you. Right. And I love the fact that you just said that she came to you and was like, this isn't like you.
Yeah.
So clearly you guys have great communication.
Yeah.
Or at least you both are willing to be honest with one another.
Right. Yeah. And that's, that's something we had to work on. But now we do, right? We have a great, I'm sure she thinks that that my conversations, doesn't always go, like, I don't talk a lot. Right. I mean, I talk about things that, small things, but communication wise, I think I'm still struggling in certain aspects. But yeah, that is something that we made a point of doing, was to enhance our communication with each other. And it's good, right? You have to, when you're living in that close proximity to people, you have to be able to ground them
and be grounded.
Yeah.
And not take it personally, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
Which is hard.
Right.
100%.
Oh,
yeah.
it's hard.
But this is your life partner.
Oh, yeah.
This is the person that you're going to go through the fucking fire with.
Oh, yeah.
Which you guys have already gone through the fire.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
You were the one going through the fire.
Right.
And on the other side of that, on every situation that you guys might enter, it always, seems to end up, we've made that vow. We're going to work this out. We're going to figure it out. Let's do this together, which I think is admirable.
Yeah.
My mom and dad were 48 and a half years together, and it was death do them part.
Wow.
100%. And even at that, my dad had obviously had known ahead of time, or I guess he just assumed, and he had done stuff in advance for my mom for their 50th.
Oh, wow.
Crazy, right? Yeah, I'll share that story another day with people, but my dad loved my mom, but my mom always said, because I asked one day, like, you know, what is it like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, we don't always like each other, but we love each other.
Yeah.
And that I think has been lost for decades. You know, my mom will be 75 in the summer, and the generation in between, a lot of that, you know, it just, you know, for whatever reason, didn't work out. But to see people like yourself, and I know the whole story ish, I guess you could say, of the two of you, and the fact that you have, no matter what, decided we're going to make us work.
Yeah.
And I can see by where we are now, the happiness, you know, the respect, and how you can talk openly about the communication that you guys are willing to give each other.
Oh, yeah.
Which, without a doubt, is the most important thing, is the communication.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, it's, you have to have an example for it to really work out. So, you know, for me, I look at, you know, my grandparents, they still married. Well, I think they're also running on, I don't know, I want to say almost 60 years, right, of marriage. And just
Phenomenal.
to see that, you know, like they got their kids and then all their grandkids. And I'm like, you know, I want to be like that guy. I want to be the Don of the family one day, right? Where there's like 50 people and you just like, you know, that, you know, grandma, grandpa sitting there. And, you know, that's an inspiration for me. And, you know, that's certainly what carried me through a lot of, you know, ups and downs with, you know, within our relationship. But we both on the same path. We both know what we want. And it's good. And we're both so opposite though, you know, to an extent. Like I'm always thinking about, you know, what else can I do? You know, like I'm always thinking about new ideas, new businesses, new this. And, I started realizing after, you know, investing in things where I lost a lot of money and trusting people that I should consult her, you know, and she gives some, you know, so right now you know, whenever I get a grand idea, I always run it by her, and, you know, we keep each other stable, man. And it's really good.
That's awesome. So a lot of positivities have come out of your life from learning lessons.
Yes.
Failing is a lesson.
Oh yeah.
And you have, I say this all the time, I've been I've been successfully failing over the past couple years of building my business, because I don't believe in any failure as a bad thing. Right. You can learn something from it. You can move forward from it. And everything that I'm doing is being documented. Right. So I can go back and look at it, which is a bit weird, because you're like, holy shit, look at you 2 years ago, look at you now. And you're like, okay, yeah, I see the adjustment there. Right. So you've been on Down Street before, right? And you've had the darkness come over you, I'm sure. What would you say is some things that you've done to pivot out of those situations?
Yeah, man. There's been some situations can feel like you can't pivot out of them. So what I try and do is when I go into dark places or, you know, just bad situations, and, you know, sometimes it look like it could be an eternity before you get out of it. So what I do is, and this is another thing I'm still practicing, right? Yes. I feel like I'll always be practicing my whole life on small things, but I set small goals, like small achievements, even when I'm in a dark place, right? And it's been something that works for me. I guess I could use a bunch of different examples, but, you know, when it comes to business, there's a lot of mistakes I still make, right? And then there's a lot of black holes that you get into, and it's like, how am I going to get out of this, whether it's cash flow or this or that? And it's just achieving a small goal will get you motivated for the next one. And once you achieve that one, it's going to motivate you to do another one. Instead, because I feel like what a lot of people are doing wrong is we're all looking into the big picture. And I'm guilty of it to this day. You know, I think about something and I look at the big picture. I'm like, yes, it sounds great, but it's not going to work. So, you know, having those small adjustments, I try achieving smaller goals that will eventually become the big goal. But one of the biggest things is leaning onto friends and family, right? When I'm in a bad situation, I love talking about bad situations because I want to hear what people's opinions are. I want to hear, because surprisingly, you could go to a person that's not a very positive person, but if you go to them with a bad situation, they're automatically like, will try and help you out of it. And you just got to listen to what they have to say. Like it's like the second nature in human that somebody comes to you with a bad situation, you want to try and help them. And they might give you, whether it's advice, whether it's, an idea. So I lean a lot on my, close friends and family.
Therapeutic, almost sharing what
yeah.
might be going negative in your life and bouncing those ideas off of other people, and they give you some examples or some parallels as to like what they've done or how they've gotten out of it as well.
Yeah.
Little goals are absolutely huge.
Yeah.
As ironic as that is,
right.
Doing those little things, it's like the lesson in life where they say, they have a picture of a ladder, right. And they have like, pieces of it. Like you can't skip a rung to get to the top. And a lot of people, I believe, do exactly what you're saying, and I'm guilty for it as well. You get this great grand idea. I'm going to make this much money by doing this, and it's going to happen tomorrow. Right. And then you're like, oh, fuck. Right. Wait a second. That's a bit, right. I don't know.
And it's kind of when you're in that situation, it feels like the more money you spend, the more you're going to get back, but that's not always
the case.
No,
that's something that I have learned myself over the 2 years of running, Lyfe Choyces, right. Is the amount of money right. that will go into something. Now you have to be strategic and intentional with the way you're spending your money. And when you make a little bit of money, it's not party time. No, because you have that idea right. that you now realize takes a bunch of little steps of compiling all of these little things in order to get you there. Right. And a lot of what I've seen some people do is they get that money coming in and all of a sudden they go buy themselves something that's like why? Right. But it's because you want to reward yourself. Right. But I believe the reward is 10 years from now. Mm-hmm. 10 years from now, you and I will sit down. 10 years from now, you and I will sit down again right. in a different room. Yeah. Doing this still, because this is what I want to do right. for the rest of my life. But in 10 years from now, we're going to laugh because I won't be worrying about every dollar that's coming in. Right. Because every dollar that comes in right now, it goes only to a few areas. Yeah. My mom, right. my company, yeah. and my fridge. Right. And that's it. Yeah. Very, very little to next to none goes to fun for me, because this is fun for me. And this is where all of my money that comes in has to go, because building a business takes time, takes effort, takes sacrifice, and the know-how that it's not happening. Like when someone comes up and says, "Oh my God, how'd you get so successful so quickly?" Right. You've been hard at it, right, forever, for years, right.
And just to touch base on that point, it's budgeting is a huge part of starting a business, man. And it seems like in the world, people are in general just bad at budgeting. That's why you have people going out buying a nice car for $50,000 when they have $10,000 maybe in their bank account. It's like people are overspending, and I can't blame them, because I get the same feelings, right?
It feels
when
good
I
to buy
have
yourself
that money.
Something. Yes.
So what I've started doing is it's hilarious. Obviously the business has been going good for 3 years, coming up 3 years now. So I've always wanted nice things, right? Not nice things, but I want a nice motorbike, I want a nice car, I want nice things. But I start shopping for it, and instead of just buying it on the spot, I'll let it sit for a while, right? Like I'll look at it and be like, well, that new truck's 50,000, 60,000, right? Can I really afford it? And I'm just letting it linger before I really make that final choice. And that's what's budgeting, right? You got to just sit down and go back to the books. You have to go back and see, listen, can I afford this, right? Don't let the emotions buy it. That's one thing that, budgeting's huge. And then if you can find, and you'll learn over the years, right? Like I'm still learning how to budget. It's hard, but that's one of the most important key aspects of having a successful business.
Yeah, you have to know where the money goes and where it's coming from. And rainy days show up, so you need to have a reserve just in case. I know some people that, you know, we talked about on the show before, were like, you know, back in the day, they'd have like $3,000 in the bank and they think they were like, fuck yeah, I'm killing it in life. And like now that they have a successful business, if it goes below 50,000 in the bank account, they're like, fuck, am I going to be okay?
Right.
Because you've got, you know, eventually you'll have employees, you know, other children, you know, you'll just have so many more people that like literally their lives are depending on you doing your job.
Right.
You know, and we have to think about every action that we take as a business owner. How is that going to affect the people that work with us?
Oh yeah.
And that I think is another aspect that I've learned over a short period of time, which is there's a fine line between business and friendship.
Yes.
You know, and you don't have to be everyone's friend all the time. You don't have to be everyone's boss all the time. But you have to be aware that everything that you do as a business owner is going to affect every single person that has to do with your company.
Right.
Whether they're within your company or they are part of a company that you work alongside with or partner with or whatever the situation is. So budgeting without a doubt is probably one of the most important things. But then what you're kind of talking about is knowing how to react to your emotions is a difficult thing for most people.
Oh yeah.
But I like what you've been saying in this conversation, because you keep using the word practice, which is what I, you know, live my life by. Every single thing I do in my life is a practice that I want to get better at. I will never get perfect at it because there's always going to be something new that I'm going to have to practice at. And emotional buying, emotional speaking, all of these things is like such key topics, because if you react instantly to your emotions, you can directly affect everything. You can affect your family life, your friendships, your business. Everything in your life could crumble if you always react emotionally or spend emotionally. And it's separating that idea. So I love how you say that you actually take the moment and look at something that you might want to buy that you think is going to make you feel good, or you know, just as an individual. Yeah, why wouldn't you want the nice, fun things? I mean, it does give you some level of like, wow, I feel good today. But knowing what would make you feel better, which is more money for the household, more money for the business, more success and growth is worth more than going and buying that particular item.
No, and it's you know, I can't blame people for doing it, and I still do it. It's like you mentioned, you want to reward yourself when you've done something good, right? And it's like spending money is the way to do it, right? And that's kind of what's been taught to us in society, is that we have to have all these things, you know, these material things. And
isn't it a shame?
It's and now that I've made money, you know, I always thought to myself, you know, once I, you know, maybe get to that first 100,000 mark, you know, I'm going to buy this and I'm going to buy this, you know, and then that's what I'm going to spend it on. And now it's completely different. Now it's like all the money that I'm trying to save for my daughter's college.
1,000%.
And it's all shifted. But in the same breath, I'm also selfish. I'm like, you know, she can pay for her own college, you know. I want a car, man. I want the Porsche GT4. Give it to me.
Yeah,
you know? But it's
you won't do that.
No, but again, don't get me wrong, I've looked at a lot of Porsches.
Absolutely. You sit there online, check them out. I can get this one at a deal. Well, I'll tell you, if you ever get one in the future, after the kid's college fund is ready, if you ever get one, my boy TJ is a Porsche certified expert. So if anything, if you need help finding the right one, let me know. I'll introduce you. He'll come and look at the cars that you want to get and tell you yes or no. Because Cameron bought one recently, and TJ was right there, and you know everything, and then TJ fixes it, like whatever needs to be done.
You need to. You need a good Porsche mechanic to actually look at a car when you're buying, you know.
When you're buying anything, really, you need to have some knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned that. Yeah, I've learned that now that I have an 87 F-150 that I've had for 2 years. I had the fancy car. You know, money came in. I didn't have responsibilities when it came to like taking care of my mom or having a company. You know what I was doing for a living. You know what I was making. And I rewarded myself because I hadn't purchased anything in a long time. And I bought, you know, let's just call it like a $65,000 vehicle without question. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go get this done. But then I sold it for my company, put the money into the company, and then I bought a $5,000 87, which needed a lot of love and a lot of work. And I knew nothing about fixing cars. And I've spent more time in it or under it than I've spent driving it.
Yeah.
And the knowledge I have now, I understand why it's an absolute must to learn little bits of everything. So when you go out in the world, you can be more successful.
Oh yeah, but that's good, you know. And to that point, I think there's gratification buying a brand new car and you have it, but it'll give you more joy. That Ford probably give you more joy than that, you know, Tahoe ever does.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
they both get me from A to B.
They both get from A to B, right?
But the knowledge I've learned, I feel so good about myself.
Right.
Now, I couldn't open a hood of a brand new Ford truck but I can open a hood and I know what things are called. Yeah. I know what does what to make it all run, which boggles my mind how I never did before. Yeah. I want to get back to a thing that you were saying there about $100,000 in the bank and how, you know, we have this idea that, yeah, when I make this amount of money, oh my God, I'm going to be able to do so much. Right. And the reality that people don't understand is what $100,000 really is. It's not much.
No.
$1 million is not that much. Everyone's like, oh, I want to be a millionaire. But $1 million? No. That goes fucking quick.
No, very quick. In the current society that most of us live, it goes very quick. Right. Yeah. When I was traveled through Central America, I met a few people, and you know, some of those guys had they had businesses. It was funny. There was you know, at the backpacking place we were staying, there was a guy that was writing articles for like magazines, and you know, just talking to a bunch of travelers, and he came through every single night. So we started talking. You know, everybody backpacking started talking, and it was more so for the people that actually live and work at the backpacking place. And I'll never forget this guy. He was the chef over there, man. And I couldn't believe it, man. We were paying like $2 for a plate of food, and it was unreal, right?
What country are you in?
This was in Nicaragua.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ecuador, very similar on price point.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you know, we had a beautiful cabin, you know, it was like $10 a night, you know. It was just, you know, but the chef living there, he was, you know, he was a successful chef out of California. And he said, I sold my company for like $1 million. He's like, and I literally moved down here. He's like, and now I could live here like I want to, you know. He's like, I could have spent that $1 million in California in 2 weeks. Yeah. You know, he's like, now, he's like, yeah, I'm retired, but yeah, it's really not, you know, and but that's something you grow into, right? Because when I, you know, started working on my first boat, I got paid €100 for like per day for, you know, 18 hours of work. You know, I went back home for the first time after that first trip. I went back home with like, I want to say €500 in my pocket that I saved up. And I thought I was the king of South Africa, man. I thought I made so much money. This is ridiculous, you know. And it's crazy how everything shifts once you're actually starting to understand the value of money.
Yes. Well, what I'm trying to do, what I would like to have happen is a shift in what people consider to be success. Now, a lot of people, especially I think everywhere around the world, puts, you know, the 1%ers in the world on this like massive pedestal. You know, they're like, oh my God, I want to be that wealthy. But I think you already have it. The success that you have that fills your cup up with joy is you own your own company. You struggled to get there. You failed, you learned, you developed it, you learned all aspects of it, have a successful company. You're married with one and a second child on the way, which clearly puts happiness into your heart. And that wealth, and I know a lot of people, hopefully not our audience, but other people out there would be like, oh my God, he's so full of shit. But I truly do believe that is true wealth. I mean, Bob Marley always said it, like when he was interviewed. There's a thing out there on social media where he has an interview and someone asks him if he's how wealthy he is, and he rebuts them. He's like, oh, what do you consider to be wealth? You know, like financial wealth. Like I have you know, pure wealth, and I'm just like 1,000% yes.
Oh yeah,
it's totally different.
Yeah. Oh man, I think you hit the nail there. It's you know, where is the line drawn for success, right? You could have success anywhere, and the thing that makes you the most successful in life, I think, is being content. If you can be content with what you have, man, you are so successful. But, you know, in society, you know, we don't value it that way. And then this is something I learned traveling all over the world, right? I've, you know, spent time in small tribes and, you know, different places. And the happiest people that I've ever met is people with the least stuff.
The least amount.
Oh, man.
I couldn't agree more with you.
I get goosebumps just saying it, you know. And I have to constantly remind myself, you know, before I spend money, it's like, you know, is that going to make me happy? Yeah, maybe it makes me happy for a week, but that isn't really what's going to make you happy. You have to be content, man. You know, look what's around you, you know, love the people around you, you know, do good things for others. That's going to bring you happiness. That's going to bring you success.
I mean, you nailed it, you know, hammer on the head of the nail with that one.
Right.
That is a million times my message to people, which is that, like, end of the day, did you do a good job?
Yeah.
Did you do a good job for yourself?
Right.
Did you help someone else today? Did you add a little more to this rock than, you know, that was there when you started? Happiness for me is absolutely, success and wealth to me is how I feel at the end of the day when I crawl my body into that bed and put my eyes, you know, put my head down to sleep. It's like, how do I feel right now? Do I feel like I did good today?
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I need money to pay the bills.
Sure.
I need money to take care of my mom. These are all things that are necessary. But everyone can find a job if you want one. Everyone can work more if they need to get the almighty dollar. But remember that dollar is not going to make you happy. We've worked for them. Oh, yeah. We've worked for the 1%ers. It is not all rainbows and sunshine and butterflies for them. It's just life becomes a little easier to deal with when adversity comes at you when you have more money. And I get that. But I rather leave this rock with happy thoughts, a good heart, and people around me that I genuinely care about, who genuinely care about me. Yeah. That to me is more important.
Yeah. And I think, listen, there's, you know, different goals and achievements for a lot of different people, and that's what makes this world so great, is that we're not all think the same. But, you know, as far as that, you and me are definitely on the same page, that it all goes down to the legacy that you leave behind, you know. And I've had close friends of mine pass away, and whenever I think about them, I think about the legacy, you know, how happy they were, you know, the time they did that for me, right? I'm not thinking about what car he drove, you know, what house he stayed in. I'm thinking about that person that I know and the legacy that he put on many people. So, that's what life should be about, man.
I think I think those of us who are extremely successful in life want to leave a good legacy.
Yes.
So that we can be remembered as that good person. Now, 100 years from now, we probably won't be remembered unless you do something like massive, like invent light bulbs or something like that, which I guess. But if what we do here now on the rock is at least for a generation or two, giving someone else the ability to become successful, then we've done a good job while we were here.
Oh, yeah.
And that's an interesting topic that I like to think about and touch on a little bit. Not everyone's okay to have a conversation about, but it is an absolute fact that one day we will not be walking on this rock. Right. We will be gone. Right. And everything we've done and everything we've said at some point won't matter. No. It's not easy for everyone to deal with that thought. Right. But I believe that if you actually come to terms with the fact that it's going to happen, you'll start living. Oh, yeah. You'll stop worrying about, you know, what to wear and how to act and who to be, and you'll really become into yourself. Yeah. And now I've known you for a while, so I know you've not really given a flying fuck about what other people might think about you, because you've been Cyle. You know, you've just lived your life, which is remarkable. Not a lot of people have that. What are your thoughts on the fact that, you know, one day you won't be here?
Yeah, I actually think about it more often than not since Isla was born. Right before that, I thought I was, you know, immortal,
invincible.
I thought I couldn't die, man. So recently I did, and you know, so since I thought about it more often, and it's the reason I think about it is to remind myself sometimes, like, you know, hey, you don't need to do this, or you don't need to buy this, right? And we all have to just accept it. And obviously I don't, because when I think about it, I think, what if it happens tomorrow? And that's a scary thought, right? Because you don't want that. But I think the way we should think about it is that it will happen one day. And, you got to think about who's going to be the people closest to you, right? How much you need to love them. Don't be scared to pick up the phone and tell them, like, hey, buddy, I miss you. Or, hey, how's it going? And since I've done that, I drive around a lot for work. So whenever I have that free time where I'm just driving and not doing anything on the computer or physically, I call the people that I love. I'm like, hey, how's it going today? Right. And it almost becomes, like a tradition. Like, my mom knows I'm calling her on that time. That guy knows I'm calling him on this time, and those are the things that you need to, if I think about, that I'm not going to be here, is that what is going to be the last thing I told those people? Right.
Yeah. Better be I love you rather than, like, an argument or a disagreement.
Right.
Yeah. Don't take things for granted that are around you.
Right.
A lot of people focus on the negatives, unfortunately. And if you take that and flip it to, thinking about having gratitude in your life for the things around you, your life becomes better because then you're happier because you've done something. You've put out that effort to, like, my TJ is the one person that when I'm gone for weeks or months at a time to do a boat job or whatever, whether it's a text or a call, yo homie, how's it going?
Yeah.
How's it going? How's the trip going? How's the new boat treating you? Like, and just that one little piece of effort, it just changes my day.
Oh yeah.
I'm just like, fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
And then I obviously do it back to him as well. Like, if he's gone to, he goes to LA from time to time to do courses for his mechanic job. And, he'll only be gone for like 7 days.
Right.
I'll be like, I'll hit him up and say, hey dude, how's LA going? Like, what are you getting into tonight? Or like, hey, I fed Taco, what's going on? Like, you just like open up that conversation, and both parties just feel better. And I watch him all the time. Like his daily routine when he gets home from work or when he's in his car, same thing. Reaches out to his brothers, his mom, his dad. Like, it's a constant everyday situation. I make an effort to call my mom as regular as possible. I've put the effort out there with my brothers to call them, and life is life. People get busy, but putting out that effort and showing other people how much you care about them. Yeah. Because you're right. No one wants tomorrow to be the last day.
No.
But we've said this before. Some people won't make it home from work today.
Right.
Some people won't wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it could be you. That's a fact of life. You just don't know when he comes knocking on your door. And if you take that time to show the people around you that you love them and you care about them and you think about them, it's got to be good.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard to, reach out to everybody, because there's a lot of people I want to talk to, and there's not always time for that. But it's like, as you mentioned earlier, right, when, I don't have to see you for a whole year or 2 or 3 years. When I see you, it just takes me right back. It felt like I saw you 2 days ago.
100%. And a hug was, it's. I think it's funny with men, this whole like, high five, fist pump, handshake, which we all do sometimes, but there's nothing wrong with giving your buddy a hug.
Oh man, I'm big into hugs.
Yeah,
man, I'll hug anybody and anything.
I think it's important. I had a friend over here this morning, actually. It was super early. I was out there doing my daily routine at like, I don't fucking know, 6 a.m. or whatever. And a friend stopped over to have a conversation, whatever. And, the conversation over, I gave a big like bear hug, like I was just like, and you could feel both parties just kind of like squeeze a little bit more because that human connection is so important. And I'm a strong believer in energies. And if anyone doesn't, believe in it or think I'm full of shit, hey, that's your prerogative. You can choose to be like that. But I love energy, and you can feel, and the other individual's like, oh, I love your, like literally said, I love your energy. I can feel your energy. And I just hugged even tighter because we need that sometimes.
Oh yeah.
We're in such a technological advanced lifestyle now more than ever. It will not change.
No.
Right. I mean, technology is not going to all of a sudden reverse.
Yeah.
And we're going to start sending you a letter through a pigeon.
Yeah.
You know, it's not happening.
No.
But it's going to get even more serious. Like AI, what is the new thing right now? GPT?
Chat GPT.
Yeah, Chat GPT, which is like my buddy Brian Hernandez, he uses it to do like, you know, letters and stuff like that for his business. We're getting far deep into the future.
Oh, yeah.
And that human connection to me is so very, very important. I had a meeting yesterday with a young lady that I'm probably going to bring onto the team. And I said to her, one of my main goals is to talk about human connection.
Right.
And hugging, I think, is the simplest and easiest thing to do.
Oh man, it's I'm all about energy too. I love good energy.
Yeah.
You can feel energy, man. Anybody that denies energy needs to sit down and really feel it. It's a amazing gift that we all have, is this energy, and it's a constant vibration that just vibrates. So I love hugging, man. You know, I'll hug everybody, but and you're completely right, you know, and I've thought about this because, you know, I've try not to read the news anymore.
Dude, I don't read any of it.
I used to, and it honestly, it affected my day, like negatively. And I was like, why am I watching something that negatively affects me that I cannot do anything about? You know, so I cut it out completely. But listen, hey, I listen to the radio, you know, I listen to a song, there's some news that come up, and, you know, news is all around us. So there's some point we see what's happening, and we can just see what's happening in society. But I've thought many times, like, you know, hey, listen, you know, I have some buddies that just bought a piece of property in Panama. You know, they bought like 10 lots, and they're building this whole compound on there. And,
Tyler?
you know, yes. And I really want to be involved in that, because I feel like that's where energy really strives. You know, that's where people can come together. Because, you know, I'm thinking about my kids too, man, you know, with this everything going to technology and the whole personal touch going away. That's not something that
Scares
I
me.
wish upon anybody, you know, like I just, but, you know, it's also really exciting. I mean, like, I'm super excited to where we are in this world with ChatGPT. You know, I'm sure there's going to be bad things, but with everything, there's good and there's bad, you know. So I'm trying to embrace that right now and see how I can benefit from it.
I've learned from doing the podcast and becoming more visible on social media platforms, the importance of growing with the times.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was very much not tech person at all. Now I own all this equipment. I know more or less how to use it all. And I realize the importance of accepting change and where it's going to go. Will have its ups and downs and good and bad, but you must stay with it, and you must learn a little bit about it. Otherwise, you will be left behind. Right. But at the same time, don't forget that you're still a human being.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you need to disconnect, right? Because you could, I get the same. I went off social media for a long time because, oh man, I got so consumed in it, you know, and they know which videos I liked, which videos like really, you know, tick me. And, you know, so I kept scrolling, and I'm like, you know, I cut it out. But then eventually I found like I need social media for my business, you know.
Facts.
I need it.
Yeah.
If you don't do it, you're, you know, living in the Stone Age.
Like I mentioned before, Gary Vaynerchuk, another gentleman I subscribe to on YouTube is Alex Hormozy. Mm-hmm. These are two moguls. And even, what's his name? Cardone.
Grant Cardone?
Grant Cardone. So here's three individuals which are monsters in business. And they've created their business, you know, obviously on that platform of business, but they've realized the importance of social media for business. They're not going to miss out on the possibility of more because they're going to be ignorant to the fact that there's so much possibilities through social media. And I respect them. And these are three people that I go to via YouTube to learn and educate myself about what it is I'm doing.
Right.
And you're 100% right. For any business, you absolutely have to be out there. And the level in which you have to be out there, the camera probably won't even get my hand this high. It's higher than that. Right. You know, the amount of times you've got to post and connect and communicate and like other people that are in your industry or in your niche, it is an absolute must.
Oh, yeah.
And it's difficult because it's time consuming.
Oh, man. What you doing, I briefly touched on I started this company back then. One of the companies that failed was called Rate Marine. And basically I got into the, online business, right? Because I figured maybe that's something I could do. So anyway, the concept of the company was, just to have a big database for all the, yachties to get involved in. If they're looking for a diesel mechanic in Spain, they can click and find somebody, something that, something in that matter. But I got into that space of, social media and what to like and what not to like in SEO and, and it's a lot, man, and it's difficult. So I take my hat off to you, man.
Thank you.
But one thing I can see that you just killing is consistency.
Thank you.
Like I just constantly see you going. Every day I can expect to see you pop up on my feed, or I can see, right now you're on my YouTube, on my TV.
Am I really?
YouTube. Oh yeah, you're on the YouTube. Like, oh, there you go.
Love it.
Yeah, and it's consistency, right? You can't just expect to put a few things out there and just it's gonna, catch fire.
And you can't even expect to put out a lot of things out there on a regular basis and it catch fire.
Yeah.
The viral thing happens, but not for everybody. And even if you go viral, it doesn't mean you're going to stay viral.
No.
What I've been doing for over 2 years now, as I had a team at first that did a lot of the stuff, and I didn't have much hands-on with the social media platforms. And then I shifted to do the podcast, and I shifted to the point where I now took 98% of the stuff on my own shoulders.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to do it all.
Right.
Then I had to find out, okay, this takes a fuck ton of time.
Right.
When I have a job, when I'm doing freelance gigs and I'm gone for 6 weeks, a month, 3 months, whatever, that job, as you know, is like 18 hours a day. Okay, now I got to scramble and put more time in. Or when I'm home, I have to use that time to my best and maximize the amount of filming and editing and clips and like all this content in my pocket so I can do it. It has to be done for a long period of time. You have to be okay. Like you did. You had to be okay with failing a bunch of times. You knew what your big picture was. You knew in 4 years you wanted to have X or whatever, and you never had a long-term goal before, which is amazing. As an individual, you can see yourself going from short-term gratification, short-term goals, thinking things are going to work over a night and be great, to knowing that long-term goals are more important and making small wins along the way are going to happen. And I love the fact that you're telling me that in your feed, my stuff is coming up every day. That's amazing. It's going to amp up even more.
Oh yeah. And I think those are the two key reasons for success. You need commitment to start something, and you need consistency to be successful. Those two things, oh man, a lot of things are achievable.
Yeah. And a lot of people out there have been saying exactly that before. It's out there for everyone to know. The knowledge is available if you want to take it. Yeah. And then it's willing to take all of that information, put it into yourself, self-motivate, and then get yourself to wake up and go to the gym on the days you don't.
Right.
I say that all the time. It's across all platforms, many people. It is doing the discipline of your consistency. I never really realized that it was that important, nor did I realize I was actually doing it in the job I've been doing for 15 years. Because I would show up every day and cook food. Yeah. I would show up every day and do my provisioning and my prep and my menu planning and all that. I just did it because it was natural. It's what I had known forever.
Oh yeah, you're good at it too.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. But when you make that shift from something that you know every day, like you said, you were in boating forever and you knew something every day, this is what I was doing, and then all of a sudden switching to something completely different that you don't know, that you now have to start all over again working at, but knowing that you could always go back to that job if you need the finances, like if you need the money and the paycheck. Okay, I have a skill, I can still go back, take a step back, which is not bad. I can go get money and then go put that into something else and move forward. But understanding that, okay, I'm going to start off at the bottom again. I need to learn all these new things, and then I have to do that every single day.
Right.
But as we know, if you do it every day, you've been from the time you went to school for solar panel to now, you said 3 years with the company. What's the full length of time that was?
7 years.
7 years. Now that's a big time frame for people to think like, I got to wait 7 years before it like makes money and I I can just do that.
Right.
That's a commitment that most
yeah.
people aren't willing to do.
No.
They don't have the willpower, the mindset, the consistency, the discipline. I mean, the list goes on of what you need in order to do that. And every single person that sits in that chair agrees on pretty much every topic that we talk about. That all that we've been talking about is a necessity in order to get you there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's again, we all fall in the trap, and I was, I fell into that same trap where I, just think that success is going to happen. Like if I give this guy money and I invest into this, everything sounds good and I'm going to make all this money. And eventually you just realize that, there's a book called, I think it's called Flight Plan.
Okay.
It's really, really good. And that will give you all the guidance you need as to how to plan for success. They basically talk about, it's kind of something that we do, right? Like when I cross the ocean on sailboats, preparation is key. Right?
Absolutely.
Because it takes us almost 4 weeks to cross the Atlantic Ocean. If something bad happens in the middle of the ocean, it's bad news, man. Yeah. So, what we had to do is we had to prepare for everything. You had to prepare for the worst case scenarios. And that's why on sailboats we say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, right? As opposed to on motorboats, it was more about the destination because you're just motoring.
You just want to get the fuck over
right.
there. Yeah,
I've done many crossing on motorboats. Doing it on a sailboat's completely different, right? If you got to have your gear ready, you got to have all your food ready. You only have 5, 6, 7 days of fuel of motoring. Yeah. The other 3 weeks you have to sail. You have to just go with the wind.
And you're outside as well,
right?
For some of the sailboats, you're literally in your fall weather gear.
Oh yeah,
dealing with the shit.
Yeah, it's and I think we learn a lot from the things that we do every day before we even start a business. Like a lot of the contributions to my company came from working on boats. Came from being in a sports team. Come from just some of the miscellaneous jobs I did. All those things are contributing to where I am now. And one of the big things is I think is discipline. When we work on these big boats, discipline, you have to be disciplined, right? Like if you don't put the flag up at 8:00, boom, you get a weekend watch. And I took a lot of your weekend watches back in the day.
Yeah, but that was for different reasons.
So it's a journey, man.
Yeah. What you're touching on right now, I believe, is life prepares you for everything if you're willing to be in the moment.
Yeah.
If you're willing to actually take stock in enjoying where you are at the time in which you're at, you're going to realize that what today just did for you is give you some lesson. Like if you actually sit down at the end of your day, take 5-10 minutes at the end of your day and look at how the day went. What happened through this day and what can I learn that I did or didn't do that I could implement tomorrow to make tomorrow better?
Right.
I think that's a huge thing because at our ages,
33.
Boom, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So 33, 45 years young, both of us.
Right.
But from 15 years old, everything that we did developed us into the exact, whether good or bad, developed us into the human being that we are now, which I hope is a better person than we were yesterday.
Yeah.
And even if you were a nice person yesterday, you're just that much better today.
Oh yeah.
And being in the moment is something I believe people have a hard time doing.
Right.
I try to put myself in that moment when I take sushi for walks, whether it's downtown or by the water or just in the mornings before the sun comes up. I take stock in the sprinkler that I hear. I take stock in the smells around me, and I look up, I look around at the colors of the trees and the sky going from dark where it's moonlit to the actual hues of color that start happening in the sky. And it's like, you know what? I'm fucking happy that I'm here right now enjoying this moment.
Yeah.
And that's difficult for people.
Oh, yeah.
And I wish people would learn how to implement a practice in their life like I put into my life in order. And I'm not saying every day am I aware of this exact moment that's happening, but I try to remember, I try to put myself there anytime negativity comes into my head. Anytime I'm driving and I notice that my face is a little, not,
Right.
it's like, oh, wait a second. Oh, I'm driving a car I own. Ooh. Oh, look, the weather's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to the gym, which makes me happy.
Right.
It's all these little things, like you said earlier, it's all these little wins that you can look at that you might not realize are wins. Like, just driving yourself somewhere. That's a huge fucking win.
It is. There's, and our default and excuse would be why we don't do these things, right? That could get us like instant refreshment is that we're too busy, And I do the same. I'm like, why don't I exercise? Right now, it's hard, man. I haven't exercised in, I don't know, maybe over a year. And it's because I always tell myself, oh, I'm too busy. I don't have the time to sit there and take deep breaths for 5 seconds, or 10 seconds.
But you have time
for everything else.
To scroll
everything else. And then we fall into that trap. And I think the fact that you practice that and you do it, just listening to this will give me new motivation to do that again, because I used to do it, right? I did it on the sailboat, especially crossing the ocean, you do it. Oh man, it feels so good. I did it backpacking, but then we get into this trap where we just, we feel like we're working, doing this and we're doing this, that we don't have to do it because there's so much other things to do. But that's an amazing practice. And it's something I don't do enough that I'll definitely
implement it.
Yeah.
Well, I think what you're saying is absolutely true, is we ourselves make every excuse possible as to why not to do something.
Oh yeah,
because it's easier.
Oh yeah.
I'll do it tomorrow. I really need to just kind of sit down right now and take 10 minutes. Or I should. You know what? I'm gonna watch 30 minutes of this show. And it's like, well, what are you doing in the day that you could spend doing something else better for you?
Oh yeah.
It's a hard thing.
It is hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard, man. And it's actually not hard, but we make it hard. Right.
We are our own worst enemy.
Oh man.
We are our own limitation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So all these things that, we're touching base on, I love the fact anyone that tells me that I may be a part of their motivation, I love, but I want you to take that and create it into your own self-motivation, because my motivation will only get you so far.
Oh yeah.
And I love it, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help motivate people. I'm here to help change their lives. I'm here to help them add practices to their lives that I have put into my life that makes me successful, that the guest has put into their life that make them successful. Watch every week. Watch every week if you need motivation. Oh, yeah. Watch once a week. Watch every day the shorts or the Instagram reels or the whatever it is. Come and watch Lyfe Choyces. But also do some self-motivation.
Yeah.
Because that's where I started was, years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I started just in my bed before going to sleep. I would scroll like most people do, and I would see all these wonderful things that Denzel Washington or Matthew McConaughey would say, and I'd be like, fuck yeah, and I'd be so inspired. Oh yeah. And then okay, I gotta go to sleep now. And then the next day just go back into the same shit.
Right.
And it took me a while of realizing and watching all these people that were living such wonderful lives of inspiration that, wait a second, I could do that for me.
Yeah.
But I have to change it. I have to make the choice to start living differently.
Oh, yeah.
And once I did that, and I fall off too, when I go away on a boat, more or less I can do push-ups and sit-ups in the galley, but I can't go to a gym.
No.
But I'm not going to make the excuse that I can't work out at all. I'm going to make the little bit of effort to at least do throughout the day 200 push-ups.
Yeah.
And that's me going down on the ground doing 10 push-ups every half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever. Definitely, I can spare those 20 seconds to do 10 push-ups, maybe less. I don't know. I've never timed myself. But yeah, I had to take the choice of inspiring myself in order so that I can sit here and inspire other people.
Yeah. And you have to. And that's you're in a good position, right?
I'm in a much better position now than I ever have been.
Yeah. No, you're in a great position. I do fun things. I know that I have to, whether it's golfing. I'm pretty much golfing almost every other weekend. But if I'm not doing that, I'm fishing or I'm going out hunting something. I try and get that balance, right? Because we do become so busy in life and in business that, you know, you forget that you have all these fun things to go and do to make you feel better, to make you feel refreshed, to make you, you know, gives you more energy. So that balance is really important. I didn't have that balance for the first 2 years of business. I didn't have that, right? I kept going. It wasn't until recently, especially the guy that works with me, Andy, you know, he kind of got me. He was like, come, let's just go fishing, man. Let's go fishing. Let's go out on the boat. And I started doing it. And every time I did it, I'm like, oh, man, this feels good, right? Because with all the challenges of, you know, starting a new business and, you know, having a brand new baby, it was hard. But now I am in the position where, but that's also not, you know, self-soothing, right? Because I think what you're talking about is literally sitting there, just, you know, being with yourself, right? Instead of doing something that's really fun. You know, one of 6 guys on the boat, it's really fun. I enjoy that. But it's that, you know, time for yourself, whether, you know, and I've told myself, I'm like, man, even if I do yoga for 15 minutes, it's better than nothing, you know?
There's a thing out there that I forget who put it up, but if it's learning a new skill, if you implement 18 minutes a day into a new skill, in 1 year, you will do a certain amount of hours, which will make you a master at that, at that task. 18 minutes. Yeah. And we make excuses not to.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
No, we're, yeah, it's we all just need to work on getting better.
Yeah,
you know, it's again, it's just, I don't know if it's by default, you know, for society for us not to do it, but again, you know, practices. I think practices get you to that place.
I agree with you on that. And on that note, we're going to have to leave some stuff on the table for another session, you and I, because as a podcaster who's learning how to do the job and whatnot, and I pretty much don't hide anything from the audience out there. Right. We only have a certain amount of room left on the one major SD card on the big camera. So in order for us not to miss out on any of our conversation, I don't want to get into too much more stuff, but we'll have you back again. Absolutely no questions about it. We're going to get Taryn to agree. Yeah. That's the second time we're saying it, Taryn. You're coming on the show. Kyle's going to tell you how fun it was. But the company, once again, the name is
Kalahari Solar.
Oh, perfect. And they have you have socials and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
All on it. So we're going to get all that information. It's all down below right now. As I'm saying, we're going to get it. I've already put it down below here in the description for all of you out there. If you're in the state of Florida and you want to add solar panels to your house for energy saving and whatnot, reach out to my boy Kyle here. I want to thank you very much for coming by today and talking about everything we talked about. As always, I love you to death, man. Right. I'm like, after this, I'm going to give you a big hug, obviously. Right. It's a pleasure talking with you always. We'll have you on here again. I want to thank everyone out there yet again, as I do every week. I appreciate all of your likes, comments. I appreciate seeing our community grow each week by getting a few more subscribers every week. Please scroll on down. If you're new, just hit subscribe, like, comment, share. Tell a friend about us. Tell them, you know, what you're liking about the show. Leave a comment. Please let me know what you like, what you dislike. You can follow us on all of our socials, which are down below here as well. And genuinely, thank you so much, everyone, for joining our community, for seeing us every week here on Lyfe Choices. We'll see you next week here on the Lyfe Choices podcast every Tuesday at 2. And that's it, everyone. Much love.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You are now about the journey. Lyfe Choices podcast.